Hello and welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. It is I, Vinny Albano. I will be your host today, joined with Mark Jacobino.
How's it going, Vinny? What's going on, everyone?
Going fantastic. We're going to be talking about Dun Dun Dun. It wrapped up. We're a little late on this, but it did wrap up, and it was one of the biggest animes of the season. Probably the biggest anime of the season. And we had a lot of wackiness, a lot of craziness, a lot of fun, some tears, and a cliffhanger that many deemed a little disappointing. But it is returning back in July. Let's start off where we left off, right in the heat of it, with the battle with the silk hair yokai ghost, whatever you want to call it. Episode 7 is by far, I think, Acrobatic Silky. Okay. That was the official name for the ghost I'm referring to. Episode 7 is the one episode that everyone online is raving about. Yeah. I will rave about it. It's an emotional, it's heartfelt, it's such a turn out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's what captures it so much. It's shock value, but I in my opinion, I think shock value done right, because it is, keeping us connected to a significant character being Aira. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the reason that this episode works in the show is that they do plant the seeds early on in the season about this show having this undertone or this theme of abuse against women. Like it's talked about early on with Turbo Granny, and like when she's released, you see all the women that were abused like in that area are released, and they can pass on to the next life. And because there's that undertone early on, this doesn't come as like a crazy shock when we meet this woman and her child, and they're living this beautiful, wholesome little life together. She's obviously working like 6 jobs just to get by, but her child brings her so much joy, and she does everything for her. And then we have this extremely traumatic event where these people, they break in and they try and rob, they essentially take the daughter into what we think is sex trafficking, and the mother is maimed beyond repair. And it's uncomfortable. It's really effective. And they also somehow have this beautiful, I don't want to say like lightness to it, but there is like a beauty to the episode with the mother having this passion for ballet and dancing. We have this scene that everyone's talking about with like the city of lights, and she's like dancing over as she's essentially dying in real life. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think it's very extremely well done. It's very uncomfortable. It's very real. It's very scary to a degree because it's so real. Like they could show all these demons, all this crazy stuff in the show, but the scariest thing is like this real world type trauma that is inflicted on this mother and daughter. So it left me speechless when I watched it. I was like, that was extremely heavy, but it was really well done.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that's a good point that you bring up. It's a classic theme of like, no, the monsters aren't the monsters, humanity is the monster. Yeah. But I think Dandadan does it in a way where it's not incomplete. It doesn't, off the bat in the first episode, it's not like, hey, here's the theme. No, now we're 7 episodes in, and now we're really seeing it, and it's unfolding. And I think that's the proper way of telling a story. I think that is the more effective way of telling a story, and its thematic messages, or however you want to go about it. I think what I loved about this episode, why it's so effective, and you touched on it, the direction here is incredible. The presentation is incredible. The use of POV shots, and how it's this montage with no dialogue, and then we swap, and now we're in the shaky, dark POV contrasting with this montage of sparkly and bright colors, and we're back to when we first saw this mother, Acrobatic Silky, when she was alive, where it opens with her, and she's in sex work, or she's being sex trafficked of some sort. We're not given a solid answer due to the no dialogue, but we can infer and we can connect with this character. We literally start darkness. We start in we go then to light that monster, and then we go back to that POV, and now we're back in darkness. It's shaky, and then we go into light with that resolution of Aura hugging her at the end, and it's so heartfelt. It's so touching.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you picked up on this. I think this is my one flaw with the episode, as much as I would praise it, is that I think a lot of people didn't realize that she was jumping off of the building.
Yeah, I don't think I got that when I watched it. When you told me that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, I didn't get that when I watched it.
Yeah, it's so subtle. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it is so subtle. Like, maybe that's another reason to love it. But it in the show, we see her dancing on top of nothing with the city in the background, and then we hear a thud.
I see.
And it cuts to black. In the manga, it's a lot more clear. Like, she's dancing on nothing with the city in the background, but you can see there's an edge of a building that she's jumping off of.
I see. Okay.
And then, you know, it's really good. It's good.
It is
good though.
It's good. It's crazy that type of episode is in a show like this, which is so zany and weird and so light and comedic most of the time, and then you just get this train crash and you're just like, where did this come from? Because again, they did plant the seeds for it, but I think it only emphasizes the potential that this show has moving forward in later seasons, where things might become more serious, and it'll never lose that levity that the show has, but also, you know, things might get much, much darker in the future, and the show has proven that it can tackle those topics very sensitively and very well. But I'm very curious, because this show is just like an amalgamation of tones and so many different things going on, and it's like, to some people, I think it would be a turnoff, and I'm not saying Dandadan is my favorite anime. I think, you know, weird is usually not my wheelhouse, and the show is weird, but I appreciate that it's able to kind of toe the line of all these different things, and its sense of humor is good. Like, the sense of humor here is good. Like, they pull it off well. There's some other aspects, weirdness, that I'm just like, I get that this is probably funny to some people, not funny to me, but I'm like, okay, I'll just sit back and be like, all right, I get it. It's not for me fully, but some people will love it, and obviously people love it. Yeah,
moving on to the next arc, which leads perfectly into it. Episode 8 starts with they're trying to put his ball.
Yeah, get ready for this, Mikey. Mikey's like, oh, this show sounds really like deep and like sensitive. And now we're just gonna go left field.
So we got the batter up, and they bat his golden ball. Back into the scrotum.
Yes.
Or I don't know. We're never giving a clear answer if the scrotum disappeared or if whatever was inside the scrotum disappeared. But
he's got one ball back.
Yeah, he's got one ball back. It's hype. It's funny. And then the next arc is pretty wild. I think honestly, maybe the most wild arc thus far.
The school with the like sea monster plus the aliens are back.
Yeah. So we got the Loch Ness monster here. They're like teleported into
this show out of context is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, so they're teleported to like a mirror dimension. The aliens, they're back. The ones that tried to probe them in the first episode with their bananas.
For their bananas.
They had like robotic penises. Of sorts. And they're back. They're mad. They hired a mercenary who's a crab boxer alien. He has a kid back home
that needs blood transfusions. That the blood is actually milk.
I forgot about you said that, and it just like the rush of memory came back to me. So the low-key, he's my goat. Like, I love that guy. He was just trying to, just do his job, and he's
trying to be a good dad.
Yeah, exactly. The Loch Ness monster's there too.
Yeah.
That's happening. I think it's just really cool conceptually. I think although it is a great arc. The 3 episodes that we have here, I think is really cool. I think conceptually it's by far, I think, the biggest, because we have so many different components now. However, compared to the arcs prior to that, I don't think the action is as cool, as explosive, as good, you know, animation wise, but still fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's really creative action, because it's like they're like moving in and out of the water, and like the water is all around them. So the 3D plane that they're working in is kind of like cyclical, so they could go down, but then they'll be going up or something. Like, it's creative in that aspect. And I forget how it works. How do they propel? Like, doesn't she use her like hand to like guide them, but he's running, or like, I forget, because he's naked, she's like half naked. The other girl, I think she's knocked out or something, and they have to save her from drowning. But I forget how they're like propelling, but that was like funny. And then they kill the Loch Ness monster after the Loch Ness monster like merges with the aliens. The aliens like merge with the Loch Ness monster. I don't really know what the like, I don't know how we got there. Like, I feel like that arc just kind of starts, and I'm like, all right, we're here. I don't know like how it's, because it starts with this really ominous like monster like peeking around the corner. I'm like, what the? And then we're just kind of in it, and then I'm like, all right, we're going with it. So I think the arc really just was meant to be a like a camaraderie type arc, where like Momo and Okarun and then the new girl, like they all kind of work together, and we're like, we're a team, but we all still kind of are getting used to each other. So it was nice like connection arc. And then in the end, like the realm disappears, and then they're all like naked, and it's in the middle of school, and they're all like, what are those guys, what were you guys doing with, and then they sprint away. So that was really funny.
And that reminded me, I forgot about that whole ending.
It's pretty insane.
It's kind of crazy to realize too that even though we are 12 episodes in, we are still in the setup, you know, because I mean, you could basically figure that Jiji, the next character that's introduced, is going to be a part of the squad,
right?
And that's going to form the main full squadron. And so we are still in the setup. Like, we still haven't got to the point where like all the characters are established, all the characters have powers, and now we can just do and go, right?
Yeah, it's interesting that I don't know if it was a budgetary thing, but I mean, because we kind of alluded to it, like the ending of this season felt very incomplete. Like, it was just kind of like ended, and it was like, okay, season 2's coming. So it feels like that budgetary wise, like they had to split this season up, and this was the best they could do. But I feel like in any other anime, I agree with you. Like, this setup would all be done in season 1, and it would all just be a cohesive, like, one season we have our full cast. But now it's kind of awkwardly split up into 2 seasons. And maybe they call it like 1A, 1B. Like, maybe they do something like that. I think Attack on Titan did that too, where it had like a split season kind of thing. So maybe it'll be something like that. But, you know, if you're watching it week to week, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, we're in season 2 now, but it feels like we didn't even finish season 1.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that's the biggest downfall towards the later half of this season. Real quick side note before we move on to those last 2 episodes, I love Momo's friends, like the 2 girls that are like just in the background.
Oh yeah, like the gossip girl. Yeah.
They're like they're genuinely like very funny. And I love during that arc when they show up naked. They have I can't remember off the top of my head like what they said or what they did, but they're just like, their energy is so perfect for this type of show. And I love how they're just like in the background. They don't know exactly what's going on, but they're never like clueless either.
Right.
You know?
It's funny. It's like they're they're funny because they're serious in a wacky show, and they're also kind of being tongue in cheek about it. Like, they're interrogating them in the room, like, why were you all naked together? Like, what happened? And they're like shining the light on them. It's really fun that they have like a side characters just like injecting more comedy in a completely different way. So I'm glad you pointed those 2 out.
Yeah. And there's not really much to talk about with the last 2 episodes. I will say, well, let's first start. What do you think of Jiji? because he was initially, I don't know if you know, but when he was first introduced in the manga, people hated him. People hate him. I'm on the opposite. I actually kind of like him.
He's like, the show is very relatable characters. Like, I know, like, growing up, we knew Gigi's like in middle school, and you knew this type of person who's like the nice guy, super nice, but like also in the back of his head, he's like trying to steal your girl at the same time. Like he's like so nice. It's like, I can't not be like, you're charismatic. Like I think I do like you, but then you also know there's like a fakeness to him. So I appreciate that perspective, and I do like his introduction where he just like comes into the house and he's just like walking around just doing like peace signs around everyone. And yeah, I mean, now he kind of like had a little turn by the end, because him and Okarun have this little rivalry over Momo, where Gigi's like, well, I was friends with her first. She likes me. Like, we're gonna date. And Okarun's like, no. But also Okarun didn't act on it like when he had chances. Like he can't bring himself to just tell her how he feels. So it's the show does a good job of just being very relatable to like people at this stage in their lives. And I think Gigi is just like a good dynamic, because like jealousy is like a very big portion of like adolescent life. So I like him so far.
And you put it into words perfectly, better than I could ever do.
Oh yes,
and
no problem.
To add to that, thank you. And to add to that, it's just I agree, but I also feel, you know, the tone and how they combat this idea of rivalry between Okarun and Jiji, I really love, because it's not like, okay, he's the bad guy now. No, it's lighthearted. Like, they're rivals, but they're still friends. Like, they're still actually, there's a great bonding moment where they're on the train and then they're playing soccer together. And they're like, oh, well, you know, I like Momo, you like Momo. And they're playing soccer. They're, you know, it's a very like boyish rivalry in a way that's wholesome. You know?
It's like you know, like alphas. Like the alphas have to like compete for the top of the pack, and they're kind of both in the same spot. Like, oh well, and Okarun, like, he has confidence because he has power. So he's like, well, you know, I'm kind of a wimp, but also I could turn into this really cool guy. And then Gigi's like, I'm confident in myself, but maybe I can't do that. But Momo knows me, so it's like I have that leg up. So I like the dynamic they're setting up. I agree. I think moving forward, they're gonna have like a deeper bond as like friends. Like Okarun, you know, his only friend was Momo, but now he could potentially have another friend, which is nice. And obviously Gigi, like, something bad is going on in Gigi's life with the exorcism that they have to perform at his house. So it's going to be interesting to see his character get some more depth, like the pink-haired girl did in her episode. I don't know if they'll go that deep. Like, I don't know if we're going to get another episode 7 with him and what happened with his house. Quite possibly. They've shown that they could pull it off. But I'm interested to see. We just have to wait till July.
I think they are. I think they're going to get deep, because although I know nothing of what's going to happen, I have seen from people online that a lot of people say this upcoming arc is among their favorite. So there's a lot of hype. And also, I don't know if this was in the show or if it was the trailer for season 2 or the sneak peek for season 2, but I remember watching it. There is a scene, like I said, I don't remember where from, but it is animated. A scene where we see him being haunted, and it's terrifying.
Right, and he changes.
Yeah, and it's terrifying. And what I love about it is that, you know, we're seeing him. He's so goofy, he's so lighthearted, but deep down, he has like this, he's having to deal with whatever evil that is so terrifying and paralyzing on his life at home. You know, so I'm curious.
I mean, his confidence could definitely be like a barrier that he puts up. You know, and inside he's really hurt. And again, you know, we've seen like the abuse of women as a theme throughout season 1. Like, there's a potential that like there could be, you know, an abuse scenario with him and like his parents. We don't see his parents. The house is haunted. Maybe it was like a relative or something like that. Maybe his relatives, there was abuse. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that's where they go with the story, because they've just planted so many seeds in that respect. But yeah, I'm interested. Like I think you kind of said it. Like the end of the season, like it kind of goes out with a whimper. Like the episodes are fine, but it's like it just doesn't feel complete. And you know, a couple of the episodes I was just kind of like, okay, like I get it. This is like absurd. I get it.
Yeah.
Like the dummies like falling in love, and like I get it. I'm like, okay, we can keep it going. I want to focus on like the main characters, not these two random things. But I understand it was for Okarun to be like, oh, you know, I need to confess my love. I need to watch these two like anatomy dummies say it to each other. So now I feel confidence that I can do it.
Yeah.
The most important question though going into season 2 is, can they top the opening of season 1?
Oh, yeah. So, do they bring back? Do they keep the same opening? Do they bring back Creepy Nuts?
I think they have to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening is good enough to be used again, but they've set the bar and they gotta go for it.
Yeah, no, like this opening was like a phenomenon online. I've seen so many, even unrelated like not even the name of the show, Don Da Don. Not even Don Da Don memes, but memes in the style of Don Da Don with that opening. I saw like a Pikmin meme because the sounds like Pikmin.
Yeah.
So I agree. That's a good question.
I would love to see them do something new, but they really lit the internet on fire with that one. So it's gonna be hard to beat.
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you have anything else?
No. We just gotta wait for July. But overall, season 1. Usually, like this stuff would not be my cup of tea, but I think Don Da Don does a good enough job for me, at least, to have me invested and interested moving into season 2. I think its comedy is insane. But when you talk about it outside the show, like it gets funnier, like the ridiculousness you're watching. So I appreciate that the author just went so hard on this and just like threw everything at the wall, but also has those very like sensitive and deep moments. So I'm excited for season 2. Do we have to give scores for season 2?
I was just about to say. I was gonna say it is the end of the season. So
okay. You go first.
Score time. Okay. Hold on. I actually wrote down my score. I don't know what I put. Where is it?
God, what am I gonna put?
Oh, Don Da Don. Oh, perfect. It was. I remembered it perfectly. I'm gonna give Don Da Don a solid 8.5.
I thought you were gonna go there. Yeah. I'll go, because it's not my wheelhouse, I'll go 7.5. But I do think that, you know, the fact that it has me interested and it's not my wheelhouse, like that should give it like an 8. But I'm like 7.5, 8. Like I'm good with that. Like,
okay, cool.
It's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that has been our wrap up of the later half of Don Da Don. If you guys enjoy this, subscribe, like this video, check us all out on the social medias down below. Everything, we have so much more content available to all of you guys, just like this. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, everywhere, and it will help you stay updated with all of our new releases and all of our new videos. Yes. It's crazy. I think you should watch everything if you can get the chance to watch everything. We're also covering a lot more anime. We're going to be covering Flow. We are covering Solo Leveling season 2. It's back. So much more stuff is coming. Sakamoto Days is coming. I know I want to cover that.
Chainsaw Man movie.
Yeah, so we got a lot. It has been Vinny Albano.
I'm Mark Jacobino.
And I'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.